And welcome again to another episode of Upon Further Review, week number 3.
Guys.
Time here, guys. And man, we're a third of the way through the season already. How about that?
I was just going to say the same math too, Herky guy.
Yeah. Herky guys think alike. Watch out. There it is.
They didn't even have to take off their shoes.
We didn't. I
We
didn't
did
have
not.
to put my fingers up. No,
We did
no,
not.
No,
We
we
did
got
not.
that.
There it
We
is.
got that.
Welcome to Upon Further Review. Ray Halbrook here from Livestream STL Media. We hope that you are having a wonderful day, and we are happy to bring you, as I'm sitting here toggling through the numbers here real quick, happy to bring you another episode of Upon Further Review here, where we recap last week's schedule and scores and the games that we covered. We will do the same for this week. We'll do a little bit of a pregame and also crown a player of the week, some honorable mentions. And if we feel like it, we might talk about other stuff too as well. So guys, how's it going today?
Going good. I mean, just a short weekend, and like once again, there's some great football being played, and we're ready to get after it, Mr. Jeff.
Can't complain. We're in the air conditioning in a beautiful studio. So,
Yeah.
hey,
Warm one out there today, but I hear cooler weather is coming, guys, so that should be good.
Could have used that Friday in the booth. Just saying.
Yes, agreed,
Just
agreed. There you go. So let's take a look at our week 3 results, and we will start with our live stream STL media games of the week here. Festus 56. Windsor 14, Seckman 49, Northwest 14, Jefferson 34, Herculaneum 30. Let's start here with the Festus game here. Festus absolutely trouncing Windsor here. And guys, our live stream STL game of the week here looked really, really good at first. It was kind of a wash, rinse, repeat. I'll use your phrase there, or Matt. But the first drive here for the Windsor Owls had a lot of promise to it, but then all of a sudden the wheels fell off and they just got behind too quick, too fast, and it was just a long night for the Windsor Owls.
You're finding out, like you had Parkway Central last week, you had Windsor this week, and it really, yes, was almost like wash, rinse, repeat. Windsor gets the ball, they try to have an extended drive just like Parkway Central did. They run 10, 12 plays. I don't want to say go nowhere, but it was unproductive. They turned the ball right back over. Festus is just, to me right now, the team that I would just circle and highlight, at least in the area right now, because they can either put together a 25-play drive if they want to. They can put together a 2-play drive if they want to, because they are just cooking on all cylinders right now. I mean, when you got a quarterback, Jeff, 83%, and that's for the year, 43 of 52, 603 yards, 9 TDs, no INTs. That's a thing that sticks out.
Mm-hmm.
But 10 for 11 for a 185, 3 TDs just in the first half. That's all he was out there for. And he put together almost the same stats that Brody Kube did from Seckman, who played a whole game.
Wow.
I'm just saying that what these guys can do in a half is amazing. I mean, you look at Longtre Williams, 8 rushes, 98 yards, 2 DDs. Oh, by the way, the one pass I catch for 47 yards took that to the house too. This is a team right now that just is cooking on all cylinders. And oh, by the way, they got a kicking game too. Luke Wacker, 8 PATs.
Wacker.
I mean, a shout out to Logan Wilson though. 11 carries, 89 yards, 1 TD in a losing effort. Jeff, there's just something to be said about that.
Coach O'Fadelaide is blessed with a plethora of talent right now. When you at this level in high school, especially in our area, when you go in and try to scheme against an offense, you're looking at usually 1 or 2 guys that you know are going to carry the majority of the opposing team's offense. You can't do that again. Who do you scheme against with Festus? They have too many weapons who can beat you, especially in the receiving core.
And you saw that later in the game, Jeff, when they're in their third quarterback and he's dropping balls into corners of end zones to where you're like, they did not miss a beat not having Parker Perry in there. To where, I mean, yes, we've talked about it before. It's one thing at your larger schools when you go up where you've got a number of players you can put in. And when your name and number is called upon, coach expects you to perform at a certain level. But these guys all seem to be performing at the same certain level to where it reminds me a lot of Greatest Show on Turf stuff. Where you could take wide receiver X, Isaac Bruce, replace him with wide receiver Y, Torrey Holt, wide receiver Z, Zahir Hakeem. but it's like you didn't miss a beat substituting either one of those guys out.
It's
And I think that's the danger you're facing when you try to scheme against a Festus team. And by the way, don't slipe on their defense either. The defensive backs for this, I mean, they get handsy. They will keep up with you. They are a quick defensive backfield, and they also hold on to the ball too. When it's thrown their way, when they go to cut in or go to pick off, it's held on, it's possessed, and ball goes the other way. There's something to be said about that too. And I remember last week when I was talking about the Logan Wilson meeting Mason Shermer. It's Aiden Shermer. I knew there was a Shermer on the roster, and when you were like, "No, that ain't going to happen," I literally went like blank face because I'm like, I know there's a Shermer on the roster. I know that. And I mean, the middle linebacking crew for those guys as well too, and up front. I mean, offense, defense, they play both sides of the ball well, Jeff, and special teams.
It's an embarrassment of riches right now for the Tigers, and I can't at this moment see them not at least repeating their run that they made last year. So I think that the Festus faithful have plenty to be happy and optimistic about right now.
Absolutely. Let's move ahead here to our second game here. The Seckman Northwest game here. Seckman 49, Northwest 14. I did not see that coming there, Jeffrey, but, Seckman looks like they might be back on track here.
And give credit to Seckman to realize what they have going on right now, and Coach Bear over there, Brady QB, 13 for 16 passing for 195 yards, 4 touchdowns. Now this is the second consecutive week that the Jaguars have more passing yards than rushing yards. When have we ever been able to say that about a Beckman team?
Right.
And credit to Coach Bear for looking at the talent he has this year and trying to put the talent in the best possession to win. And if that means they're going to have to open the game up and throw the ball more, so be it. But they were able to be very successful in that regard this last week, Matt.
I think before people want to get into our comment booth, I actually think this is the third week in a row that they did that, because I know the first 2 weeks they did, and here they had another rushing attack of 130 and 195 passing. This was a game that, you had Ben Broderick. Again, special teams just showed in the forefront. He had 7 PATs. It was his deep kickoffs and punts that pinned the ears back for Northwest deep in their own territory. But Seckman, as I even mentioned during the broadcast, they made the most of the Lions' mistakes. They had a botched punt, some untimely penalties, working on the short fields that Northwest gave them. So often we see time and time again, you might be afforded a possession at the 30-yard line and you might go 3 and out, not able to kick a field goal, blah, 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 blah. You're finding out a team like a Seckman, they will capitalize on every mistake you make. And there was a point in the game that really kind of paralleled what happened in that Festus Windsor game, where the Tigers were up 7-0, and in about a 9-minute gameplay window went from 7-0 to 21-0. And it looked like the Owls just kind of unraveled. Same thing happened here. First quarter, 2:25 left. I'm just going to set it up real quick. 2:25 left in quarter number 1. Jaguars are up 7-0. A tight game. You're getting ready to head into quarter number 2. Northwest, they get Seckman to go to punt, and they're punting from around their 20. Belcher is standing about right at midfield waiting Broderick's punt. That thing sails over his head, kicks off the cart path, and now next Northwest is at their own 20-yard line.
Yeah.
Okay. First play, what happened? Stark, right around the end, 77 yards down to the 3-yard line. Holding call.
Yeah.
We're going to bring that back. And Brian and I, Caps and I, we looked at each other. You could just feel the air just sucked right out of there. That I had to go back, rewatch it, because there were 2 calls. Well, there could have been 2 calls. The one that I thought they called, I lived with that one, but there was another holding call. It was a little more flagrant to where, okay, you know what? Okay, they did see a holding call. But you go, quarter runs out now, a couple more plays. So your first play from the second quarter is now you're going to punt from around your 20. Here we go. Special teams come into play. All I say normally, special teams, let's get a good snap back to the punter. The thing comes down, rolls through Stark's legs. Next thing you know, he's horse collared near the end zone. No call on that. And Seckman now gets the ball at Northwest 5. First play, TD, 14-0. Northwest gets the ball back. Third down, you get a false start penalty. Next play, a Northwest guy gets decleated on a defenseless player hit, not called. They punt out of their own end zone. Seckman gets the ball at the 32. 3 plays later, 3rd and 7, 21-0. It only took 5 minutes of gameplay for Northwest to go from a 77-yard run down to the 3 to where 5 minutes later it's now 21-0, and you're like, what the heck just happened?
Right.
Matt, you hear it all the time. It's become an overused phrase that that play-by-play color guys use when they're doing a game. But if ever there was a situation where it was more justified in using the phrase "and just like that," it was in that situation in that game. A total momentum shift. Seckman was able to quash any dreams that Northwest had at that point about maybe coming back and seizing some of that momentum back. But a good test for the Lions to see where they're at against the big boys. You know, maybe are we not quite ready to sit at the adult table, or are we going to be in the living room with the kids still a little bit? And they've still got a very favorable schedule ahead of them here the next few weeks. So it'll be very, very interesting and crucial to see how the Lions bounce back this week.
Yeah, I think you take this as a grain of salt for the Northwest Lions and say, hey, you know what, we stubbed our toe, and we take a look, and we'll revisit that. You know, Seckman's got they've been a powerhouse the last few years here, and we'll just take it in stride. You're right, that schedule is definitely going to favor them.
One other thing, and Matt touched on it, and this is my rant. The views expressed by Jeff Whitener are not necessarily those of Livestream STL and its companies. I have seen more bad center play as far as snaps going over the head, going underground, whether it's in shotgun formation and punt formation this year. I don't know what's going on out there, and I don't know what's being emphasized in practice, but it's a mess, and it's across the board. It's everybody. And
Systemic.
It's systemic. Great word. And it's got to be cleaned up. We're in week 3.
Well, I mean, as a side note, speaking of that, Barajic went to punt like around in the 4th quarter. Now, granted, the game was out of hand, but he goes down on one knee, fields the punt, gets up, punts it. No whistle blown on it. And I looked at Kaplinger, and I just waited for him, because I was like, I'm there's some things that stand out, and they're glaring. And again, you don't want to be that guy that harps on it to where, like, this is all this Bates kid's going to do is just like, considered a bash on the refs. Well, you do have to play through some of that, but it's like when I can see the guy putting a divot down in the dirt with his knee and gets up, punts, and there's no call, you're just kind of like scratching your head that like, okay. I mean, am I missing something?
Putting a divot in the grass and it's turf.
Well, yeah. I mean, but you definitely see his knee down in that. So
I get it.
Yeah.
Leave the dent in the plastic.
There you go.
There you go.
All right.
Then dented the straws.
Final game of the live stream STL 3 there. Jefferson 34, Herculaneum 30. And Matt, you want to start this one off here because I know Jeff was at the game, but we'll start with you on this.
Well, I mean, because I just saw on paper the game that Keaton Reeves had, on the Black Cat side of things. Again, I said last week on our show, Jeff, I said, to me, it seems like when these games are played, who's at home seems to have maybe the upper hand. Again, it's just an intangible, but when you want to come down to, is Jefferson's offense better? Is Herky's defense better? All these others. I think it's just like, where are we playing at? Whose home crowd's going to be there? And we'll let the chips fall where they may, because having done a couple Herky games, I was wanting to get your take. They seem, as one of the smaller schools, but they are very physical. At least that's the way it appears to me. I haven't seen a Jefferson game, so I was just wanting to get your take. Did both teams look as physical, or did one look more than the other? Because there's a couple players off Jefferson I would like you to touch on, one being Logan Van Dieven and the other one being Parker Taylor with his 12 total tackles.
Matt, this is not your father's Herculaneum team. And when I say that, this is a different squad that is big and physical, and they are surprising teams. And before I go into that, let me say I want to apologize to everyone that went out Saturday trying to find any kind of ointment, salves, or bandages, Band-Aids at CVS or Walgreens, because they were probably out of stock after Friday night's game. That was a first aid game, an ice bag game, whatever you want to call it, whatever your favorite phrase is. And I'll just start at the beginning. I think to a man, the Jefferson athletes would tell you that they took that game for granted. They did not realize what they were getting into with Herky in that game. And Herky came out and punched him in the mouth, and they really out physicaled the Blue Jays all night long. Uh, Keaton Reeves had an incredible game. 12 for 75 yards rushing, 141 yards passing with the TD. But I think he was probably more impressive on defense. There were times where he was going up and squared up against Cooper Frisk, and great open field tackles on Cooper. It was just two great athletes going at one another. It was fun to watch. There were lots of injuries for R7. Tyler Crater, their leading tackler, was out on concussion protocol, so he did not play. And there was some attrition due to injuries through the game went on. But I'm not making that for an excuse for Jefferson. They really, really came away with that game happy and thankful. That game would have gone 5 more minutes. Herculaneum would have won that game without a doubt. Big guys stepped up in case of injuries. Aiden Kinch had a really nice game running back for R7. Logan Van Dieven has been coming on these last few weeks and made a big impact in the offense and defense for the Blue Jays. Gavin Green, another guy that luckily for the Blue Jays, and we'll look at the schedule next week, they have a chance to maybe rest up, heal up, and recuperate a little bit as they move to Cuba next week, who's down this year. But yeah, it was a game. It was a fun game to watch, and for the first time ever as a public address announcer, I actually gave a shout out towards the end of the game for all of the trainers and emergency crew that were on hand, because they probably worked just as hard as the players did, Matt.
Wow. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the schedule here, and we'll pick out some key games here. We've got Bayless 43, Crystal City 20, North County 14-13 over DeSoto. That would sound like that was a great game there. Eureka 56, Hazelwood Central 0, and Rittner 24, Fox 23, another barn burner there. Grandview 56, Cuba 21, Hillsboro 27, Washington 16, and St. Vincent 27, Perryville 21. Last game there, Knob Noster 21, St. Pius X 20. Jeff, let's start with you here real quick. Maybe pick out a game or two that kind of stuck out to you.
Well, I think Perryville was up on St. Pius 21-7, or I'm sorry, St. Vincent. Yeah. Got my saints confused. Yeah. Pardon me. I'm not Catholic. So anyway, the up on St. Vincent 21-7 at halftime.
Dominus Ominous, you're forgiven.
St. Vincent able to come back and win that game with 6 seconds remaining. Touchdown pass, classic skinny post over the middle. Hard to defend in man coverage in that situation, and a great win for St. Vincent, and that had to be a great game. Tough loss for DeSoto against North County. I don't have a whole lot of details on that game or stats. Eureka, they're a powerhouse right now, folks. I think they're going to make a deep run in district, and I wish we had the ability to cover them this year like we did last year, but right now we need somebody over in that area to hopefully step up, and if they want to sponsor some of those games, we'd love to cover them. Summit had to come from behind against Oakville. They were down at halftime and scored 21 unanswered points in that game.
Whoa! He just looked at me like, whoa,
look at that.
Sims Kendall, passing quarterback, 18 for 142 yards in that game. So those are the games I kind of looked at. Hillsboro going out to Washington, that's a pretty big victory out there, going out to Washington against the Blue Jays.
I was gonna say there was a little cluster of games right there that you could throw in one neat little package right there. Start with North County, DeSoto. DeSoto now, they've lost 9 in a row to North County. It's kind of like the whole Jackson Seckman thing where they just can't get that out of their head for whatever reason. North County was only up 7-0 at the half on this, but when you're looking at some of the numbers available, I mean, DeSoto puts up 284 yards of total offense to North County's 190. Looking at, if you would have said like North County went 1 for 8 on third down conversions, normally doesn't set up well for your night, where You look at the other side of the ball, though, the Dragons, 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
One of those has to give. Well, in the third quarter, DeSoto had a drive going at North County's 18. It gets snuffed out. North County then recovers a botched snap from DeSoto. DeSoto eventually they go up 13-7 in the game, but I think that's where you see the lack of a kicking game. Possibly, unless because I know, a lot of them like to just go for 2 regardless, even if we got a kicker. But the ensuing kickoff, Jeff, guess what's happened? To the house,
Right.
extra point, there's your ball game, 14-13, and you just you're left shaking your head as though maybe what happened on that deal.
If I may translate for Matt here, transcribe however you want to say that, I think Matt is trying to emphasize what we're all feeling is special teams ability and inabilities this week were really on display in week 3.
The Grandview Cuba game, I mean, I guess if there was a game where you were like, maybe what one might have caught you off guard, I think it would be this one because I was not expecting a 35-point differential between the score for Grandview Cuba. I knew either the Seckman game or the Festus Windsor game, because I even said that the Festus game is going to be one of 2 things. It's going to be closer than it should be, or it's going to be a bloodbath. Well, Grandview, take Brock Poole, 11 carries, 125, 4 for 70 receiving. I mean, you had a total offense of 512 yards. It starts up front with Tucker Reinhardt. Love the big man. 327 on the ground, 185 through the air. You have Brendan Martin back there, again, a makeshift smaller program. Well, I mean, it kind of ties in with Herculaneum, where your Keaton Reeves-ish, where he had 11 rushes, 88 yards, 11 of 17 passing, so just about right at that 50% plateau. 185 2 TDs, but no INTs. So again, you look at a night like that to where it's 50% passing, but you're not getting hurt by turnovers, at least in the passing game. I can live with 50%, and I can live even better with the 2 TDs to no INTs on that.
And just want to mention too, Blake Brown with 14 total tackles in that game too for the Eagle defense.
Yeah, there was some numbers put up on their defensive side as well too, and that again something that when we gloss over some of the offensive stuff, we can lose some of the defensive stuff in the process. But I think when you look at all of these scores, where you had like Fox that was up 17-6 at halftime, you've got the Washington Hillsborough game, St. Vincent Perryville, all close at halftime. But once that second half hits, who's got the ability to separate, distance themselves? Or you look at a game like this, a game like Festus, and a game like Seckman, where just a couple plays, couple here and there, and they've already got the separation, and it continues to grow the rest of the game.
Absolutely.
There you have it. There you are. We will be back here in just a moment here with our Player of the Week. Stay tuned. It is now time for our Upon Further Review Player of the Week, and we have co-players of the week this week from the Festus Tigers. We have Lawante Williams on the left there, Parker Perry on the right there. Guys, how you doing today?
Good.
Awesome. Hey, it's been a fun ride seeing you guys this year already. I know, I know there's probably a lot of unfinished business from last season as well, with the loss in the state championship. But, take us through real quick. I want to talk a little bit about this past week's game, and I'm just going to throw out some numbers here, some astounding numbers, by the way, here. Parker Perry, 10 of 11, 185 yards, 3 touchdowns. Lawante Williams, 8 for 98 rushing, 2 touchdowns, 1 reception of 47 yards. Man, you were wide open for that one. I was out there when seeing that reception for the touchdown. That was pretty sweet. But take us through the Windsor game. Just give us your thoughts here real quick. We'll start with Lawante.
I was just out there having fun. Yeah. Oh my goodness. How good.
See, this is something that you're going to have to worry about now going forward, because you're like a Jefferson County celebrity now. So Lawante Williams, baby. So real quick, did you feel like Coach was pretty happy with how things went?
Yeah, I think he was pretty happy with it.
Good deal. And I mean, just being on the kind of on the watch and seeing you guys. I mean, you and Parker together have worked really, really well together. What's that relationship like on and off the field?
That's a great relationship. We're usually always hanging out with each other on and off the field, always talking about doing great things together.
Excellent, excellent. I'm going to bring Parker back in here real quick. Parker, your thoughts about the game Wednesday or against Windsor?
I think we did pretty solid. Obviously, a little hiccups in there, but I think we're gonna do good later on in the season.
Excellent, excellent. So neither one of you guys, we talked a little bit on the side of college. It's a little early, I know, for both of you guys, but nobody's looking at you yet. So I'm going to put the scouts on alert right now. Both of these guys deserve to be on a college team somewhere. And but you guys both have aspirations to be in college, yes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, good deal. So you guys have got, like we talked about a little bit with some unfinished business here, but drop that state championship game to a pretty tough team, but I think that gave you guys motivation for this season as well, and definitely have taken it serious. What has the off season looked like? Has there been some sort of different, attitude or motivation or something that Coach O has put into you guys' hearts this season here? And we'll start with Parker.
I think losing all those seniors we had last year and all the firepower we had on offense, obviously a big minus in there, but us, me, Leonte, and a lot of other guys obviously working hard over offseason get better back to that point.
Excellent, excellent. And Leonte.
Continue on what Parker said. I think we really bought into the off season and just worked really hard to try to fill in for the seniors we had lost last season.
Yeah, that's definitely that's a key thing too. You guys did lose a few seniors here, and that was that's important to be able to kind of reload, so to speak. But this week you got DeSoto, and they a lot. It just seems like, especially the large school division in Jefferson County has gotten better and better with all the teams. So I know it's difficult, each week to try to, match the competitive spirit, so to speak. But have you guys talked a little bit to Coach O about this week yet, here, Lewante?
Yeah. DeSoto, they're usually pretty.
Go ahead.
They're usually always a pretty physical team, always going out and playing hard.
And Parker?
Yeah, they're always pretty good on defense, but on their offense, they're pretty ground and pounded a lot.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we appreciate you being on. You guys are the co-players of the week, thanks to our good friends over at the Pasta House Company over in Festus. You guys are both going to get $25 gift certificates here. We'll send them over to you in the mail. So congratulations on being Player of the Week upon further review. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Craving authentic Italian cuisine? Hi, this is Don Bollinger at the Pasta House Company in Festus. We're serving up happiness one plate at a time. From our made-to-order pasta dishes to our mouth-watering pizzas, everything is prepared with the finest ingredients. Try our fresh ground burgers, hearty lasagna, or our perfect appetizers. Happy hour every day with half-price pizzas and kids eat free every Sunday. Visit us at pastahouse.com to order online or for delivery on Highway A and Pounds Road, where it's always a great time.
We're back with some honorable mentions for this week, for week 3, and they are as follows. From Herculaneum, Keaton Reeves. He had 75 yards rushing, 141 yards passing, 8 tackles on defense as well. Sequman's Brody Kuby, 13 of 16 for 195 yards and 5 touchdowns. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 touchdowns. How about that? They were all passing. Is that correct, Jeff or Matt?
Yeah.
Holy moly. How about that? And Windsor's
Truthfully, I think that might have been 4 TDs and 2 rushing TDs, but don't
Yeah, well,
Don't quote me on that, but I'm
He
sure
had a good week.
we'll
Our
get
math.
we'll get the comments. Somebody will be our fact checker there
yeah,
for us. I mean,
our math might be a little bit off, so we apologize if we are there to the Seckman quarterback, but
Herky
our
man.
herky math, so there it is. No, 5 touchdowns. That's impressive. Windsor's Logan Wilson, 12 passes for 121 yards, a touchdown, 4 total tackles on defense, and what a week already, and we're only in week 3 here, Matt.
well, considering those were rushes and not passes, it was 11 for 89 on the ground with a TD and a losing effort. But this is a kid that the young man the first 3 weeks of the season. Glad he's getting a sniff of the at least the honorable mention chart. I mean his efforts on defense too, and to me, I think you put him, David Russell, and from Festus and Logan Wilson, you put them back to either return a punt, return a kickoff, you're in a world of trouble. If they get the ball and it's in the field of play, Russell's going to hurt you with the speed. Wilson's just going to hurt you with the football IQ. He's either going to run over you, he's going to get around you, but he can go to the next level as well too. And there's not many in the area on the special team side. I think that fit the bill like those two would. And again, I love the fact that we can showcase a talent even in a losing effort, because again, I can tell you right now, that was no fun being a Windsor Owl and getting a 35-point beatdown put on you at any point in the game, much less at halftime when it was like 35-0. You got to go to halftime and you got to sit there for about 18 minutes and there's no shaking your head like, well, I'm trying to figure out what went wrong. It's just one team just manned up a little better than you that night. And by the way, you got another half to play too. So,
Matt, we cover athletes playing various sports, and sometimes you can look at a football player who's having success at this level and say, well, he's just an athlete, and whatever he makes up lacks maybe in football skill or knowledge, he makes up for in just pure athleticism. But then you have another an upper tier of guys, and there's usually a dozen guys every year in the county that have that special combination of athleticism and that football IQ and vision. And Logan Wilson's one of those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that does it for our honorable mentions. We'll be right back with next week's schedule and our predictions as well. We'll be right back. After Friday Night Blitz, check out the Friday Night Blitz postgame at 10 p.m. Our Friday Night Blitz announcers will catch up with coaches from around the area and grab some postgame interviews to cap off another Friday night football frenzy. That's the Friday Night Blitz postgame show at 10 p.m. on Livestream STL. And we are back with our Week 4 schedule. Week 4 schedule looks just like this. Festus is at DeSoto on Livestream STL. St. Vincent at Herculaneum be on Livestream STL2. You'll see a little space there. That's because we're not going to have a Livestream STL3 game this week. Going to take the week off. Going to give our Livestream STL3 group a little bit of a break, I guess, or we'll just incorporate them in. We'll stay tuned on that. I know you love all of our folks that bring you all of the Livestream STL games here. So moving on here to other games here. Melville is at Seckman. Fox is at Eureka. Hillsboro at North County. Jefferson's at Cuba. Principia is at Grandview. Crystal City at Confluence. Bayless is at Perryville, and St. Pius X is at Roosevelt. That'll be a Saturday game at noon. And let's talk a little bit about this Festus DeSoto game here. And Matt, we're going to give you the reins for that particular game. So your thoughts coming into this real quick.
I think the one outlier that I mean, you could make the analogy that it seems like it would be like the same thing as like having the Windsor game, but I think the one thing that separates the Windsor team from DeSoto and DeSoto from Windsor is that DeSoto's got just a little bit more of a passing game, where when Jet Black had gotten hurt, I mean, they virtually were a 99% running team. Where I think if Drummond and company, you got Tebow and the crew in the backfield. And again, this is a game at home for DeSoto down there on the new yard. Everything is refurbished, so be glad to get down there, and then we'll see what Coach Rush Schmidt and the Dragons have up their sleeve to see how they can combat OJ Afadale and the Festus Tigers.
Jeffrey?
Um, Big challenge ahead for the Dragons in that game, but also a good measuring stick to see where they're at, much like Northwest last week against Seckman, to see where they stand. And really, when I look at that Red Conference, I look at DeSoto and Windsor as being in similar situations as far as their program and as far as their trajectory. And Windsor had a little test last week against Festus. Now it's DeSoto's turn, and we'll see. And I think that these two games will tell us more about where the two programs, Windsor and DeSoto, are at these last 2 weeks than it will really be any different in our opinions of Festus. I think this is more of a measuring stick type game. So, uh, you know, guys, St. Vincent and Herculaneum, that has all kinds of storylines here. And I don't know what the situation is like. I know St. Vincent's got some injuries to some of their skill position players, and that may make a difference. I know Herculaneum's gonna be a bigger team, and last week Reeves showed the ability uh, to spread the offense around. Tanner Duncan had a big game, 100 yards receiving last week. Hopefully he'll be back. He's dealing with some bruised ribs from that game, as everybody else is probably.
Right.
But I think that's going to be the game to circle is the most competitive one this week. And it'll be really interesting to see how that shakes out. Big chance for Herculaneum here to sort of a statement game against St. Vincent.
I was just going to say the same thing, that I think when you were talking about how in that Jefferson Herky game where, Black Hats might have been taken for granted, and I've said this the last couple of weeks, you're a team that was 1-9 last year. You had that tough game against Windsor in week 1. Well, now you're like technically 1-10, and as your schedule keeps getting tighter, you've had a number of games throughout those 11, 12 games now to where, yeah, okay, 2-11 ish, but could be closer to maybe 4-8. Overtime goes one way, last second play goes another way. You move the ball 3 inches one way. I'm just saying, I think, yes, this is going to be this is going to be lower class big boy football that you're going to, I expect a big game from Clark Struckoff. And I also want to see the Hankins kid when he comes in to fill in. Wasn't used much in relief effort last week, but again, he's another one that I circle as well too, that if something happens with Clark, bring in Hankins and see how Keaton Reeves and those guys handle St. Vincent and the Indians in that one.
If you're Blaine Boss at this point, you've got to be thinking, man, you are just one tick away from really just rattling off. They could be 3-0 right now.
Yeah.
You think about that. They're 1-2 right now, but they could be 3-0 because of 2 plays, basically.
And guys, I really think when I look and talk to the guys on this team, this Herky team this year, even though they've lost those 2 close games, it's a completely different attitude.
Right.
And we've got some very high character players on that team right now for the Black Cats. And, when you talk to coaches, sometimes they'll win a game, but it feels like a loss.
Right.
And some other times you'll lose a game, but you're really happy with the way your team played. And I think for Coach Boss, he has to be pleased with the way the Black Cats played last week. And I think as a team, they are. So I think they're going to respond well this coming Friday.
Excellent. Let's take a look at some of these other games here real quick. Pick one down on that bottom row there, Matt. Maybe 1 or 2 that you think are going to be a good matchup there.
You know what? I'm just going to throw it out there. I want to see Crystal City get off the schneid. I want to see the Hornets get a win under their belt. I know it's going to be tough against Confluence, but that's kind of the way Crystal City's schedule's been since week 1, facing Sykeston right off the hop. You know what? That's what I want to see. They play some good football. Great group of kids there with Landon DeRoos. You got the Rico Pastrana.
Mm-hmm.
Love me some Hornets football. And, I want to see, you can't be a senior and go winless. That's all I got to say. So I want to see them get at least 1 and get some traction because the Hornets, I got to tell you right now, that if you pin their ears back, those dudes, they can make a tight ball game and make life difficult for you.
And just once this year, I would like to hear Matt call a game with Crystal City so he can say something like, "I'd really like a pastrana sandwich right now."
The Rico Pastrana.
There you go.
I do. I was going to do that either this year or the end of last year. Have this thing
I
sitting.
know
right
you had it. You had it in your holster, ready to go.
There you
It-
go. There
That
you
bullet was in the chamber. Yes, sir.
Jeff, your thoughts?
Hillsborough at North County could be interesting. Always tough to go to St. Francis County to play. So Hillsborough's, though, proved last week that they could go on the road in a tough environment against Washington. So things might be looking up for the Hawks in that regard. Bayless and Perryville, I look for Perryville to bounce back this week against Bayless. Cuba is down, and unfortunately, we don't get a lot of information. We can't get any stats or information from the faithful down there at Cuba. Cuba in the Quad County Conference, but it seems like they're might as well be the entire state away.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah,
they're a few miles away, Jeff.
They are a
They're
couple,
a couple of miles away. But for Jefferson, it might be a week to rest up and heal. Grandview Principia game might be interesting. I expect Grandview to win that game, however. I don't really look at anything else on this schedule and see
hmm
that there's going to be any.
You don't see anything
possible
glaring.
upsets. Right.
And I agree with you too on that Hillsborough North County game, and I only just say it's because they got to go on the road again. To me, when you look up and down that, like that's kind of like the only outlier. Fox has just got to figure out, like, if they want a chance against Eureka, they just got to figure out a way not to stub their toe. You look up and down. One of the things that I've noticed too, when you look, let's just say, start with Festus. Lontre Williams hasn't fumbled a ball this year. Parker Perry hasn't thrown an interception. When you, and I'm not saying you can play perfect football, because yes, there's probably a couple 15-yarders and a couple penalties, and I'm sure Coach O'Fadley is going to tell you, hey, there's a little bit we need to clean up. But I got to tell you right now, they're the closest team to playing perfect football, and it starts with those little things we talk about,
Right.
like the snaps on special teams, kicking your extra points, or just putting those extra points into the end zone, taking advantage of the opportunities that you're given from the other team, whether it's a short field, whether it's a long field, clock management, right on down. You're going to see that. And I think that's where some of these teams, that's the separator. Your turnovers and what you give the other team, or the untimely penalty, holding penalty on a 77-yard run. Definitely a lot of stuff like that needs to be cleaned up. But, again, it's, to me, that's some of these games here, like we've said, where you're going to see what you either need to work on or what the other team has going on against you. And so, Hillsborough, North County, I like that game as well, too, besides what we've got on our slate.
Exactly. And hey, I want to give just a quick shout out real quick, because we didn't get these stats in until late. Cooper Frisk, 17 for 25, 221 yards passing against Herculaneum with 2 touchdowns. And Noah Beeler, 7 catches for 107 yards in that game. So wanted to give a shout out to those guys and make sure that they got their name into the broadcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that wraps us up here for Upon Further Review. Don't forget to check out our games all on Livestream STL.tv and on our Roku app. Just search for Livestream STL on the Roku. You'll be able to watch it for free. For Ray Halbrook, from Matt Bates, for Jeff Whitener, all of us here at Livestream STL, thanks again for watching Upon Further Review.
Be nice to one another.
Be a good human.